She took one bite. Spat it out. Right into her napkin. This tastes like something you'd feed to dogs. 23 people. All staring. At me. My mother-in-law just destroyed me in front of everyone. But here's what she didn't know. The recipe she just humiliated? It wasn't mine. It belonged to someone at that table. Someone she'd been lying to for 40 years. And when they found out? Everything changed. Let me back up. My name's Layla. I'm 28, Cuban American, and apparently, according to my mother-in-law Cynthia, completely wrong for her son. I met Daniel at a bookstore. Cliché, right? He was reaching for Murakami, I was grabbing Garcia Marquez. Our hands touched. We laughed. 3 years later, we were married in a small ceremony that his mother called rushed and informal. You know she's not from our world, I heard her whisper at our wedding. Different background. Translation, I wasn't white, wealthy, or Ivy League. I was a high school Spanish teacher who grew up with my abuela in a 2-bedroom apartment in Miami. My grandmother raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 7. Every memory I have of feeling safe smells like sofrito and sounds like her humming boleros while cooking. Daniel's family? Old Money, Connecticut. His mother wore pearls to breakfast. They had a summer house in Martha's Vineyard and said things like summering as a verb. But Daniel was different. Or so I thought. She'll warm up to you, he promised after every passive-aggressive comment. After every forgotten invitation. After she introduced me as Daniel's friend 6 months into our marriage. I believed him. God, I was so naive. The call came on a Thursday. Layla, dear. Cynthia's voice dripped fake sweetness through the phone. This Sunday is our annual family gathering. Everyone will be there. Daniel's grandmother is visiting from the Cape. My stomach dropped. The annual gathering. The one I'd mysteriously never been invited to before. Oh, and Layla? It's potluck style. Do bring something cultural. You know, to share your heritage with the family. Cultural. The way she said it made my skin crawl. Daniel found me crying in our bedroom that night. What did she say? His jaw was tight. Nothing. She invited me. Finally. Layla. I'm going to cook something amazing. Something that'll show them who I really am. He kissed my forehead. You don't have to prove anything. But he was wrong. I did. Because that morning, I'd overheard Cynthia on speakerphone with her sister, 3 years, and she still can't even host a proper dinner party. Some people just aren't raised for this. I stayed up until 3 a.m. the night before, recreating my grandmother's most sacred recipe. But here's where things get interesting, this wasn't just any recipe. There was a reason my abuela only made it once a year. A reason she cried every time she did. The dish was called ropa vieja especial de Elena. It wasn't the traditional shredded beef, it was something more complex. Layers of flavor that took 8 hours to develop. Saffron from Spain, peppers from Peru, a sofrito base that had been passed down through 4 generations. My grandmother would say, Mija, this recipe carries ghosts. One day, you'll understand. I thought she meant metaphorical ghosts. The memories of Cuba, of family left behind. I was wrong. She meant actual people. Actual family. The morning of the dinner, my hands shook as I packed the dish. Daniel watched me, concerned. Babe, it's just dinner. No, I said. It's a test. And I'm going to pass. The house smelled like old money and judgment. Cynthia air-kissed me at the door. Oh good, you made it. And you brought. She peered at my covered dish like it might contain a bomb. Something ethnic. How authentic. 23 family members. Daniel's cousins, aunts, uncles. His older brother James with his perfect blonde wife who Cynthia actually liked. And in the corner, quiet and observant, sat Daniel's grandmother, a 90-year-old woman everyone called Gigi. The dishes started circulating. Cynthia's famous lobster thermidor. James's wife's quinoa salad that Cynthia praised for 10 minutes straight. Then mine. Daniel's cousin Marcus took the first bite. His eyes widened. Yo, this is incredible. More people reached for it. Murmurs of approval. Someone asked for the recipe. And that's when Cynthia struck. She took the tiniest portion, raised it to her lips with theatrical precision, chewed once, and then. The spit. The napkin. The disgusted face. What is this? Her voice cut through all conversation. It's so heavy. Greasy. Is this what you normally eat? The room went silent. It tastes like something from a food truck, she continued. No offense, Layla, but we have different standards here. Daniel started to speak, but I touched his hand. No. This was my battle. None taken, I said quietly. But Gigi was staring at her plate. She'd already finished her entire portion. Here's the real twist that changed everything, and I need to know, what would you do if you discovered your worst enemy was actually family? Because that's exactly what happened next. Gigi's fork clattered onto her plate. Where did you learn this recipe? Her voice was sharp. Urgent. My grandmother taught me. She passed away 5 years ago. What was her name? Elena Martinez. The room shifted. Cynthia laughed nervously. Mom, lots of people have that name. Elena Martinez from Havana? Born 1936? Left Cuba in 1962? My heart stopped. How do you? She was my sister. The silence was deafening. Gigi stood up, shaking. We lost contact after the revolution. Papa forbade us from speaking of her after she married that musician. We were told she died in Miami, alone, no children. She raised me, I whispered. After my parents died. She talked about a sister. Said you all thought she betrayed the family by choosing love over money. Cynthia's face had gone white. This is impossible. I pulled out my phone. Showed them the photo I always carried. My abuela in her kitchen, the same recipe card visible on the counter. Gigi gasped. That's her. That's my Elena. She never stopped loving you, I said. She made this dish every year on your birthday. October 15th. She'd cry and say mi hermana would have loved this. Gigi was sobbing now. I wrote her off. Our whole family did. Because she chose love over our father's plans. She turned to Cynthia. You just spat out my sister's memory. The last connection to her. And you've been tormenting her granddaughter, your son's wife, for 3 years. The room exploded. Daniel's cousin Marcus, wait, so Layla is actually family? Like, blood family? James, Mom, did you know about this? Cynthia was stammering. I couldn't have, she never said. I tried, I said quietly. I tried to tell you about my grandmother dozens of times. You always changed the subject. Said you weren't interested in my background. Daniel stood up. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked furious. At his mother. 3 years. 3 years you've made her feel worthless. Your own family. I didn't know. Cynthia protested. Gigi's voice cut through like a blade. You didn't want to know. Just like Papa didn't want to know if Elena was happy. Just like this family never wanted to know about anyone who didn't fit the mold. She walked over to me, took my hands. You have her eyes. Her spirit. And clearly, her gift. Then she turned back to the table. This recipe? It was our mother's. From Spain, before she came to Cuba. It's been in our family for over a century. And Cynthia just called it dog food. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Cynthia apologized. Not gracefully. Not tearfully. Just 2 words squeezed out like pulling teeth, I'm sorry. But Gigi wasn't done. You will learn every one of Elena's recipes. From Layla. You will learn where you really come from. Not this sanitized American dream you built, but the real story. The immigrants. The love over money. The food truck flavors you looked down on. That night, everything changed. Daniel drove us home in silence, then pulled over halfway and just held me while I cried. Not sad tears. Relieved ones. I should have stood up to her sooner, he said. We both should have stood up sooner, I replied. 3 months later, Gigi moved in with us. She wanted to spend her remaining years learning about Elena's life, through me. Cynthia? She comes for dinner now. Quietly. She eats everything on her plate. Last week, she asked me to teach her the recipe. I want to understand, she said. I taught her. But I didn't tell her the secret ingredient my abuela always added, a single bay leaf she'd carried from Cuba, dried and ground into powder, saved for special occasions. Some secrets are earned, not given. Some respect is built one bite at a time. You know what my grandmother used to say? Mija, the people who judge your food are really judging themselves. They're tasting their own prejudice. She was right. That dish didn't just feed people that night. It exposed them. It revealed who was capable of growth and who was trapped in their own narrow world. And Cynthia? She learned the hardest lesson of all. The people you look down on might be the ones holding your family together. The food you call street cart might be your own heritage. And the daughter-in-law you rejected? Might be the only link to the family history you lost. If you've ever been judged for who you are, where you come from, or what you bring to the table, remember this story. Subscribe for more. Because if this hit close to home, the next story will hit harder.